Welcome to Keeping It G with G, the podcast. I'm your host, Gian, but you can call me G. Hence, Keeping It G with G, the podcast. To keep it G means to maintain a level of respect for oneself and those around you. And that is why this show was created, to have an open, honest, vulnerable, and accountable discussion about the ups and downs of everyday life shit as it pertains to self-improvement, love, relationships, and motherhood. So in hopes of me sharing through personal experiences from the lessons I've learned and still learning, I pray that I can shed light and share some gems that will give you that extra push that you may need as we are all growing and learning through life. I'm here to reassure my listeners that it's okay to keep it G while on your journey. Now let's start the show. Happy Sunday and welcome to episode 64 of Keeping It G with G, the podcast. Before I get right into this Sunday's episode, I want y'all to know that my Sunday episodes will be short and sweet because I understand that Sundays are for unwinding and getting prepared for the week ahead. So I'm not going to hold you too long, or at least I'm not going to try to. So with that being said, again, happy Sunday. Now let's get into this week's topic, which is self-sabotaging. And what is self-sabotaging, you ask? It is when we actively or passively take steps to prevent ourselves from reaching our goals. So let's talk about it. Basically, it's being in our own way when we know better. So what does self-sabotaging look like in human form? Procrastination, putting yourself down, a need for control, fear, insecurities, self-doubt, overthinking, jumping to conclusions and or assumptions, patterns learned in childhood, past relationship dynamics, which is a very big one, lack of self-confidence, lack of having knowledge of your self-worth, are all some examples of how those behaviors can have a lot to do with self-sabotaging. What you think or whatever you speak over your life will truly happen, and the same goes for what you think. Your thoughts really guide your life. So I try to be real careful with my choice of words and thoughts because that shit can be very dangerous. And I try my very best to make sure my thoughts, words, and actions align with one another. So of course you have to take action in regards to trying your best to not self-sabotage your own life. But it has a lot to do with the beliefs you have about yourself, your outlook when it comes to certain situations, people, relationships, and a lot to do with past experiences when it comes to past hurts. A lot of our train of thinking comes from learned behavior. And a lot of times you have to unlearn learned behavior, especially the bad behaviors that you have picked up throughout your life. This topic is really geared more towards self-sabotaging in relationships, because it happens more often than you think. I hear a lot of scenarios when it comes to people just self-sabotaging their own relationship because they're in their head about things. So for instance, let's say you're a man or a woman and you've been hurt in the past by your past partner. And as much as you try not to, you meet someone new and then you carry that same hurt with you into the new situation. And then you find yourself comparing or being triggered. And this is why I'm going to put the stress and importance on the fact that it's very important to heal through any past hurts that you've been through in terms of your relationships and friendships or things that you picked up throughout your life as far as learned behavior and your way of thinking, because there's no timetable on healing. And I hate that the belief is that someone else will come along and heal you from past hurts and it'll just be better, because that's false. The only thing that can heal you is you having the willpower to want to heal by doing the work, being patient with the process, and putting your best foot forward and doing the work for yourself. So, for example, being accountable for your own shit. And then when the time is right, dating again and paying attention to any triggers or signs that take you back to that past situation. Because if you're triggered, then that's a strong indication that you are not healed and you need to take more time for yourself. But regarding self-sabotaging, everyone has been there before. And this is my advice to you if you are a serial self-sabotager in relationships or just in your life in general. I'm a firm believer of living in the moment, not being naive, and asking questions to what you feel you want to know. And what you don't know, God will reveal it to you. That's why getting to know a person and taking that time to really get to know them is very important before you get serious with them. Just don't allow your fear, your assumptions of the unknown be the driving force of you self-sabotaging a situation that can turn out to be a beautiful thing because of the past. Do not block your blessings. Love in itself is a gamble, and you cannot give half of yourself because you're in fear of the unknown and ask to get the whole of another person. It just doesn't work that way. So state your worth from the jump. Be open with one another and be patient with the process. And hopefully that person is on the same page as you as well. You have to communicate these things so that there's no miscommunication. And sometimes people see things differently, and that's okay. You just have to find the median that works for the both of you. But I also want to point out that you can also self-sabotage your self-worth by falling in love with the potential of what could be and not being realistic about what's in front of you, because that's not healthy. Been there, done that. So I'm not at all cheerleading that. Accept people for who they are and for who they show you they are. But that's another topic for a later day, because that is going to be a long and drawn out episode when that time does come. But back to what I was saying. To be self-sabotaging is a self-inflicted situation. Let me give you some pointers from an article that could help you to overcome self-sabotaging. I'm saying that a lot, and it's getting me all kinds of tongue-tied. But in the article, it reads, and I'm going to go by bullet points, and I'm not going to read it in full because I'm going to plug the article in the show notes for those who are interested. And you should be, because it's important. So again, these are some ways that you can overcome self-sabotaging. The first one says, identify the behaviors, which is being accountable. Learn what sets you off, which is getting to know your triggers. Practice getting comfortable with failure, because it may or may not happen, but you have to be optimistic, but be realistic and logical as well. The next one says talk about it, which is communicate, like I said, and communicate healthily, not passive aggressively. And then the last one says identify what you really want, which is going back to me saying state your worth from the jump and be open about what it is that you feel or that you believe in your heart and in your spirit that you deserve. And so, again, I'll post the link for the article on self-sabotaging for those who are interested. And in closing, I want to leave you guys with this message. Don't block your blessings. Don't be in your own way. Don't let fear stop you from attaining your goals or what you feel is for you. Because what's for you, no one can take away. If you know that you are someone who self-sabotages often, acknowledge it and start doing the work to become better. And that's all I have for you guys. Have a great rest of the week or beginning of the week, the start of the week. And I'll talk to you for the next episode of Keeping It G with G, the podcast.